Thanks, Annette and Rowan. Hi, I'm Melissa Dreuth, the SVP of People and Culture at Planful. I am responsible for managing the entire employee lifecycle, and the teams that I lead are recruiting, HR, facilities, and people operations. I've been at Planful for nearly a year now, and I find myself in the tool multiple times a week, whether it's supporting my department or assisting other department heads with their changes. When I'm in the midst of planning and helping a manager with an organizational structure change, I often find myself thinking, what was life like without Planful? The answer is pretty simple. It wasn't efficient, and it oftentimes unnecessarily chaotic. This would ring true to so many HR professionals and heads of people. Without a tool like Planful, you're living in multiple spreadsheets, hoping that you have the most up-to-date version. You're probably trying to pull your employee costs from 5 different sources and trying to merge your workforce plans into one document that is cohesive and that you hope is correct. You're also probably dealing with unnecessary internal hurdles, getting all the approvals needed just to make one hire or a workforce change, because really no one knows what was approved and in what version. We're in the business of continuous planning, and this rings true for our people strategy. Especially in today, businesses are needing to adapt and move faster than ever before, and I truly can't imagine doing my job without a tool like Planful. For me, collaboration is key to my department and to my role. During the planning process, Planful enables me to get a holistic view of any employee changes needed in our company, know when they're happening and who they're affecting. I'm really excited about the new features that dynamic planning is bringing to us, because often we have department heads with multiple budget entities, and with these new features, we can make structural changes to these departments in one simple view, grouping them all together and allowing department heads to work simply faster than what they've had to before. The biggest value that Planful brings to me is the improvement to our cycle times. It's a single source of truth for our company, and it enables me to really effectively support our department heads within the organization. It also empowers those department heads to make the changes that they need to their business. They know what's approved, they know what their budgets are, and they can course correct in real time with any of the changes that they've made. Planful ultimately enables me to efficiently work with our managers, plan effectively, and streamline our processes so we can focus on what really matters, and that's the people. I'm so excited to hand over to Steve from our incredible product management team. He's going to walk us through the upcoming plans to the enhanced functionality and the user interface to improve our user experience.
Thanks, Mel. Appreciate the content. In product management, we really appreciate our people's team feedback and overall just product direction. They do a great job of validating the direction that we're going for workforce planning because they're real users. So we can easily talk to them about the direction that we're going and show them some future stuff, and they validate it very quickly. So we really appreciate that team. Within any organization, people costs are one of the highest expenditures within the company. So what we've done is we've tailored our roadmap to help customers manage, control, and analyze these costs. So there are 3 focus areas that kind of guide our roadmap. 1 being an absolutely incredible user experience. 2, implementing cutting-edge functionality. And 3, continuing to enhance the overall usability of the application. So we're adding improvements that will allow you to plan easier, and it will support you and your continuous planning efforts. So I'm going to do a quick demo of the spring release, all right, which is in sandbox only, and I'm going to give you a sneak preview of summer and beyond. Okay, so let's take a look. So within the application, what we've done is a complete workforce planning redesign. Right? We completely redesigned their interaction of how you're going to use a workforce planning application, just from a user experience perspective. Okay. So the first thing we've done is we've introduced this roster screen, this roster page, so you can easily navigate from field to field within this roster. We've added the ability, if you have access to multiple budget entities, we've added the ability for you to select multiple budget entities, and you can easily see all the employees you have loaded, right, or you're in charge of, right, directly in the roster screen on your select budget entities here. To navigate easier from scenario to scenario, we added the scenario dropdown directly in the roster screen. So I can quickly select a few scenarios here, and you can see I have multiple different amount of different types of employees and different amount of employees loaded by each of my scenarios, just trying to show you the differences, what you would see if you go from scenario to scenario. Okay. For better visibility, we've moved the add employees button. So when I select add here, a flyout now happens, right? You're not going to another screen, but you're still in your original screen, and I could come and just quickly add my individual employees if necessary, my new to-be hires, and make adjustments. For existing employees, same kind of metaphor. We stuck with the flyout, great usability. A lot of our customers really like the flyout when we've given them an opportunity to kind of beta this. They really liked it, so we stuck with it for existing employees as well. So I can quickly go in to compensation, change my compensations if necessary, or I can add a few input compensations as well. From an allocation perspective, we've streamlined the allocation process to make it easier to allocate employees across entities. If I want to navigate to another template, here I click on select employee, kind of sticking with that same flyout metaphor. Now I can go and quickly navigate to another template based on a very easy selection. For mass update, we've expanded mass updates capabilities. Again, with the flyout, sticking with the one screen. So we're extending the mass update capabilities as well. And if I wanted to search for an employee, right? If I want to just type in, looking for my marketing lead, that pops up very smoothly, and we've expanded the search capabilities within the roster. So if you have multiple employees on multiple pages, right, within your roster, you can perform a search. It'll go through all of those pages and pull up your pertinent information. And last but not least, if I want to actually copy an employee or duplicate an employee, I can quickly do so. I can choose a number of the number of duplications that I want and quickly select duplicate. Okay, that's Spring. Go out, play with it. It'll be in Sandbox. I would love to hear your feedback. Let's kind of jump into what we're coming out with summer and beyond. So for summer and beyond, the first thing we're going to focus on is personalization, right? We're bringing the personalization concept to the roster as well, but we're extending the capabilities of what the user can see, can personalize on their own as it relates to the roster. Another thing we've done is we added a card view. The card view is a much more visual representation of the roster. Some people are going to love the roster. They're going to love work with the roster. It's very streamlined, from a data entry perspective. But some people may want to put more a visual component to adjusting their existing employees or adding new employees. They can do that here from the card view. So if I click on the card view here, then the card view, I have edit, duplicate, and I have the ability to delete. Okay. So I can easily go in, I can edit Sam Miller, all right, either the salary, or I can edit, the employee number or whatever it is. If I want to do something a little bit more advanced, if I want to kind of drill down and to adjust some of Sam's attributes or compensation items, I can click on Sam Miller's name, and once again, we have the flyout. And we're always going to be looking to improve, right, the UX, the smoothness of it. So here you can kind of see from my budget raise percent, it looks a lot different than it did before. Made it a little bit easier to enter data and to understand the representation of the data as well on the screen. So if Sam is interested in taking a leave of absence, what we're adding is what we're calling new as employee status, right? So manager can come in and change Sam's employee status. All right, Sam wants to take a leave of absence. Manager can easily go in, kind of select the leave of absence, select the start date and end date. And what happens is once Sam's manager does that, all the calculations are going to follow suit as well. So, and here you have continued calculations in which, what if you still want to pay Sam his salary or a specific compensations related to saying why is on leave of absence, you can select that option and the calculations will continue. They won't stop. Now that's on the user side. So let's focus on the admin. Okay, so we want to make it easier for the admin as well. It's not just the user experience, right? It's the admin user experience as well. So what we've done, we've streamlined some admin capabilities, and we brought the compensation configuration component here to this one screen as well. So now I can add compensation groups, add compensation items, employee types directly from the screen. Now, the roster is a big move for workforce planning because it allows us to ultimately interact with workforce planning easier. But if you're going to introduce a roster, you have to introduce the ability to customize that roster. So we're adding the ability to customize a roster. You can bring any compensation item, any attribute, okay, to that roster screen. And another thing we're doing is there's two ways you can currently add employees to the application to be hires, right? One is you can do it manually, as I showed earlier. Two, you can use the duplicate option that we went over. The third way is to load employees. So if I have multiple budget entities that I want to add to be hires to, what I'm going to do is I'm going to load a file instead of going one by one and adding those employees individually to those budget entities. And it's all controlled. Admins, don't worry. It's all controlled by security. Whatever the access they have from budget entity standpoint, they can only load employees to the budget entities that they have access to. They cannot load any employees outside of that. There's just a few screens to kind of show you what it looks like, how easy it is from a flow perspective to load some employees. Okay, let's transition back. So beyond summer, let's talk about beyond summer. So I talked about card view, talked about customizing the roster. There are a few other areas I want to point out. So beyond summer is all about expanding workforce planning capabilities to support continuous planning and collaborative planning as well. And we're adding 3 items to do that, as obviously like the card view and the customized roster I talked about. The other 3 items are: 1, the workforce planning actual, which is the ability to report budget versus actuals by employee. 2, transfer management, the ability to reconcile to be hires from scenario to scenario. And 3, one that's extremely near and dear to my heart, which is really going to bring workforce planning to the next level, is the workforce planning expression builder, where you can create any compensation item calculation imaginable as long as the data supports it. And you also have the ability to take 1 or 2 compensation items and create new data for new compensation items. So expression builder, we're extremely, extremely excited about. Thank you very much for joining me. My email is here below. If you have any questions about our direction, where we're going, when we're going to release the items that are beyond, please reach out to me. My email is shown here. Back to you, Annette and Rowan.